Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be going lighter from basically a level 3 hair, so very dark. So this is the first step in the going lighter process. We are going to be going lighter, so this is going to be a little bit of a series on my channel. But I'm just going to show you my foiling techniques and everything like that. So she does have some previous color on her hair, obviously, and we've got some banding. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to start kind of balayaging. I'm leaving the first section out because I don't want it to be super blonde right there. I still want her to have some dimension around the face. So as you can see, I'm not going super high with many of these pieces just because I know that she's probably not going to pull super light, so I don't want there to be like an overwhelming amount of like an orangey color in there. So I'm just kind of painting the ends. And I'm making sure to do a combination of slices and weaves just to get a really dimensional look. I don't want it to be super heavy in any areas because I want it to be very blended throughout. So I sectioned her off from ear to ear, and then I do the back all kind of in one section, bricklaying it, because this is the first step in going blonde. I don't want it to be too overbearing. And then what I do with all of the dropouts is I just kind of paint the ends, and I don't go really high on this because, like I said, I want there to be a lot of dimension and still quite a bit of dark in between this color. Generally, my technique for this type of balayage is I will take a section, split it in half, weave that section, and balayage that, and then I will go and just paint the ends of the section underneath it. And then right around the face, I will go a little bit higher just because I want there to be some more face framing lighter pieces, and then in the back, we kind of want to go for that teardrop shape where it's darker in the back and lighter in the front. And then I'm just repeating that same process where I split the section in half, weave that section, and then paint the section underneath it. And that is just how I'm kind of creating this look in the front. Some of the pieces towards the top, I'm creating the V shape with my lightener in the foil, and that's just going to create the most depth, but also bring some lightness towards the face. And it's also just going to create some different foiling patterns just so we don't get any harsh lines in this balayage. And then all of the dropouts, again, I'm just painting them with my liner, and I'm also putting all of these in foils because I want to get the most amount of lift because her hair is very dark and it also has previous color on it. Also, any of the sections that I use slices on, I also tease that section. So the very top section that lays over all of her hair, I am teasing it before I put the lightener on, and that's just going to, again, create softness and make sure that there's no harsh lines. Another thing that I always make sure that I do when creating a balayage is making sure that there's a lot of saturation and very even saturation throughout my foils, and that's just going to make sure that there's no patchiness. And then for my favorite part is the money pieces, so I do two back-to-back slices in the front, again making sure I have even saturation in the foil, and I'm doing very thin slices. And then I start to go in and just weave it, and that is just going to create an even transition and a very smooth transition. And then as I move back with the foils, I go further and further away from the root area just to create more of that balayage effect. Moving on to the back of the head, I am going to do kind of some back-to-back weaving foils right in the nape of the neck, just so when she puts her hair up, she does see a little bit of lightness, but we're still going to do the balayage effect, so we're not doing it super close to the root area. In the back, I'm doing more of a bricklay pattern because I still want there to be quite a bit of dimension in the back since I know she's probably not going to pull that light. So what I do is I take a section, split it in half, kind of like what I did in the front, and then I'll weave the top section, and then whatever the dropout is, I will paint the ends of that. I go back and forth between doing the entire section and then also splitting the section in half and doing one closer to the left side and then closer to the right side. And the reason why I do that is because I'm doing the whole back section as a whole and I am bricklaying it, so I want there to be some lightness around the entire back, and when she wears her hair up and kind of has it curled and also straight, I don't want there to be any like obvious spots missing that don't have lightness or that are super dark. So I really just want to bricklay this and do some deep V patterns, do some baby lights, and just kind of mixing it up in the back because I don't want to do a whole lot of blonde because I know, as I said before, I know she's not going to pull that light, but I want there to be like an even painted look all throughout her hair. And here's where you can see most of what I'm talking about, so if you just watch this part, you'll kind of get what I'm saying. Another tip that I have when doing balayage is to really make sure you're knowing where the hair is going to lay before you put the foil in and kind of paint the lightener on. So a lot of times, especially in the back, people can tend to bring the bleach up too high in the back for a balayage, and I really like the teardrop effect in balayages where it's a little bit lighter in the front and then it gets darker in the back, and it's kind of, the blonde is kind of brought a little bit lower. So I really think that kind of visualizing in your mind where the brightness is going to lay really helps when doing a balayage technique. And then as you can see, as I go up the head, I kind of bring the bleach lower and lower because the higher the hair is on the head, the lower you kind of want the bleach to be. Otherwise, your bleach is going to be really high and it's just going to kind of look like outgrown highlights, and we don't want that. So as I'm moving up this section of the head and I get closer to the crown, I'm also not splitting the section anymore, and I'm kind of doing more slices and also teasing the sections to make sure that I am not having any harsh lines, and I'm also, again, doing some V patterns as well. When I'm blending out a balayage, I will always turn my brush to the side and blend out the lines that way. If you keep your brush horizontal, you're just gonna get some harsh lines and some horizontal lines in the hair, so especially when you're blending it up, you want to make sure that your brush is turned vertically. This is another really important step in a balayage process, and this is the hair that kind of connects the sides and the back. A lot of times this hair can get left out and stay really dark, and it kind of just doesn't flow. So you just want to make sure that that little section, the tiniest section, right where the front and the back meet, you don't want to leave that out. So what I just did is I kind of just painted it. It's a really small section, you can barely see it, but it does make a difference once the hair is all dried. And then I forgot to film my root smudging, so I think I let her process for about 30 minutes, and do see how many foils are in her hair. It's so crazy. But I let her process for 30 minutes, and then I did kind of like a shadow root, and I combed it through, as you can see me doing right here. I used Redken Shades EQ 3N 4N, and I just kind of did a little bit of a shadow and brought it down a little bit, and then combed it through, and that's just going to create a color melted effect. And then I actually toned her ends. I forgot to film this part too, but I toned her ends with Redken Shades EQ 7N, 7P, and 8V, and I really like how the color turned out. So I just kind of blow dried her, trimmed her a little bit, and now I'm curling, and you will see the final result. So this was just the first process in going lighter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something, and I will see you in my next video.